the 365 by Sig Sauer. I'm going to be doing a full mag +1 with Fiocchi 115 grain. So here is our one, and here's our full mag. Yay.
What's for dinner is going to start at 90 grain, go through 100, 115, some steel case, some aluminum case, 124, 135 low recoil, 147, and 158 as the heaviest load. Do want to note we have the Sig 365 ammunition included in here, and it is pretty. Steel case, aluminum case, round nose, hollow point, truncated rounds. We've got them all. We're looking to see, will the gun pick up from slide lock? Will it cycle enough to feed the next round of the same type? And then will it lock the slide open when
empty? So I'm going to start things off with the Winchester Super Clean 90 grain. Next, I'm going to be shooting the Team Never Quit 100 grain. Now I'm going to be shooting the Legend Pro Copper Hollow Point, which is a 115 grain. Here's ammunition that was made for the gun. Sig Sauer's 365 115 grain full metal jacket ammunition. Pretty snazzy box there. And to finish mine up, I have Barnaul's 115 grain for sporting and hunting.
Steel case.
Steel case, there we go. Oh, you can see that.
Aluminum cased Blazer 115 grain. We'll start things off for me. Aluminum, of course, swells a little more, can be tight in chambers. Slide lock back. UMC from Remington, 124 grain full metal jacket. Slide lock back. Not my best shooting. Federal's low recoil 135 grain, slightly heavier. Low recoil usually means a slower load as well. Out of a barrel so short, be curious to see how it does. Of course, gel shot would be great, but that's incredibly time consuming. Slide lock back. Remington's Golden Saber 147 grain. These are interesting because they've got a brass jacket instead of copper. They're also loaded a little long. Chambered. Slide lock back. PPU 158 grain. This is a very heavy subsonic. In a tiny barrel, it's probably even slower. Slide lock back. And for our accuracy test, be using the Norma Hexagon 124 grain. It's a pretty cool looking hollow point. If you've ever had a chance to check it out, I suggest you do. For the bottom right, this trigger is a little difficult to predict.
So for my accuracy, I will also be using the Norma Hexagon 124 grain.
So, impressions on the Sig P365. You know, when this first came out, I got to be one of the early ones to shoot it at a Ryder event. Wasn't particularly a fan of it, didn't see what all the hype was about. Then the hype built and built and built, and being the pseudo punk that I am, I kind of started to not like the gun because of the hype. But having now spent more time with it, being able to shoot it in our own environment, I do appreciate the gun for how small it is for holding 10 rounds. That's pretty cool. It is a little small for me. It's a little hard to hold on to shoot accurately. And adding to that is a very unpredictable trigger. So those would be my complaints against it. However, for someone looking for a small gun and smaller hands than mine, which is most of the population, this seems like a pretty good option with a 10 or 12 round magazine. I really can't gripe too much. Now, some of you might have been curious about the primer drag or striker drag on the primer issue that was brought up when these first came out. So we've collected up some brass and I will show that to you. So what you're looking at is the back end of some of the various brass, and yes, of course, aluminum and steel case, nickel plated and non, from our What's for Dinner test. And you can see it looks like the striker is dragging a little bit on these primers. That's that vertical streak you're seeing rather than it being just a pin mark. Whether or not that's really a serious problem on a carry gun, that's up for time to tell. The concern is that if it's dragging there, that's going to wear down on your striker quicker. I don't know if Sig has a solution for this or not yet, since I'm not really a Sig guy, but did want to show you that it did seem to happen regardless of the ammunition type. It wasn't as pronounced on the aluminum. I'm wondering if that's because the aluminum is locking tighter in the chamber upon firing, and so the extraction is a little bit slower with it than it is with something smoother like a nickel plated round, where you can see it's quite pronounced.
365. I'm a huge Sig Sauer fan. As everybody knows, my favorite carry gun to date is the P238. I have two of them. That's how much I love them. So it was kind of a natural fit for me to also want to get their most popular carry gun right now, which is the 365. And this is the original 365. There is another one coming out apparently in a matter of weeks or months that is supposed to have a manual safety and is supposed to be larger and have a 15 round capacity. I might get a 15 round magazine for this one just to have one, but I tend to like them to be as small as they can come simply because it's easier for me to carry it on my body. With that being said, I'm gonna have to agree that the trigger pull is a little unpredictable, which I really don't like that. I like knowing exactly when and with how much force the trigger will be activating the bullet down on my target. That could just be a matter of me training with it more. I haven't had a whole lot of practice with the gun yet, so that'll have to be determined. But the sights are easy to see. It is a very small gun, even for me. It's nice to have the capacity that you do have. It actually doesn't have a whole lot of recoil to it. More or less, it's really just the trigger that makes it as snappy as it is for me. For right now, I'm gonna say that I like the gun. I'm not that worried about the striker pull yet. There's a lot of things that I still want to determine later about the gun. We'll see.